Hey makeup friends. So today I'm going to be doing a full face of new to me makeup. Some of these items are new on the market and others have been around for a while, but I have not picked them up until just recently. So we've got items from Vive, Hourglass, Dior, Makeup Forever. I'm just looking at the assortment of items here. There are a lot of products to play with, so let's get into it. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Like I said, we have a bunch of products to get into, so I'm not going to belabor the point. Let's dive straight into the video. Before I start the makeup, I am going to put a little bit of lip balm on. This one is from the Lip Bar, and it's the Shimmer Balm, and I have it in the shade Clearly. And it was a subscriber named Tracy who sent the little kit to me, and I want to thank her very much because I actually really like the lip balm. She also sent me the lip scrub and the lip serum. The lip serum is better for at night, I find, whereas this one is good for like throw it in your purse and away you go. It does have a little bit of like a minty flavor, I guess, to it, but it's more like an actual like candy cane. It's not too strong, it doesn't tingle on the lips, it's not irritating, but it's just a hint. Like, I like it. So at any rate, I'm just going to let that sit and moisturize my lips while I do the rest of the makeup. Now I have actually applied my primer. The one that I'm using is the Backstage Primer from Dior. The only reason I've already applied it, first of all, it's boring to watch me apply it, but also it's not a new product. So this is already on, it has soaked in. We are good to go with foundation. And the foundation that I'm going to use is the new one from Makeup Forever. This is the Water Tone Foundation. It's the Skin Perfecting Fresh Foundation, and I have it in the shade Y245. I have mentioned this one very briefly in a previous video, but I really like it. It's got a nice little glass bottle, comes with a pump. It is very liquidy, it is very lightweight, but I like that it just produces this sort of my skin but better kind of finish, and it just looks very natural, but does help to like even out my skin tone. And well, you'll see. I will apply it to half of my face just so you can see the comparison, and then we will move on to other products. So I'm just going to pump some of that on the back of my hand, about 1.5 pumps. And you can see it's just kind of sliding down my hand. It is a very thin consistency. It does have a little bit of a scent to it. I think when I described it before, it was like a watered down YSL. It has that same sort of floral scent to it that you find in a lot of YSL products, but ratcheted down in intensity. It's really not too strong, although I am aware of it as I apply it. I honestly don't know if this is the proper way of applying foundation, just dotting it all over my face and going to town, but it's how I do it. So there we are. The brush that I'm going to use is this one here from Dior. I honestly don't know what it's actually called, but it's the newest brush that they've come out with. And when I first saw pictures of it, I figured that it was going to be soft, but I couldn't really get past the thought of it looking sort of like a potato scrub brush. However, I did pick it up during the Sephora sale, and it is insanely soft. Like, it is so soft, very densely packed, and I find that it does blend out my base products so easily. So I said that I was only going to apply it to half of my face, and here we are. Oh my God, I annoy myself. Bloody hell. This is the problem with doing these kind of videos where I talk while I apply my makeup. I get myself so distracted that I forget what in the hell I'm doing. All right, well, you can see just how easily everything blends out with this brush. And maybe you can see between the dots on my skin. I apologize. I am an idiot. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't provide a ton of coverage at all. And that's fine by me. For my own personal preferences, I'm totally fine with that. It does just help to liven up the skin a little bit and just sort of even things out a little bit more than it would be without any product on. It has a very natural sort of finish to it. I don't find that it mattifies. It doesn't add a bunch of extra glow to my skin. It just very much looks like my skin, just slightly enhanced. And I really, really like that. This is a product that I can wear all day. It shows very little signs of wear throughout the course of the day, probably because there's just so very little product on my face to begin with, but it also just remains comfortable all day. There's no heaviness to it. There's no, like, I'm just not aware that I'm wearing it, and I really like that in a foundation, so there's foundation applied. Now I am going to go in with concealer. Obviously, the concealer that I'm going to use is the one from Dior. This is the Forever Skin Correct Concealer, and I have it in the shade 2N. I have talked about this one. It's not very new to me. I think I bought it maybe in December, I think, so a few months ago. It has a fairly large doe foot applicator, but because it has sort of this beveled edge, I find that it is very precise in its application, and I can get right into those little inner corner parts of my eyes as well. My eyes are rather deep set, so I do have a lot of shadowing in there, and I do like to put just a little bit of concealer. This time I am only going to put it on one side so that you can see the difference. So I'm just going to put a little bit of product there, little dot up here, and then just a little bit around the nose and out the side. And then I'm going to use this brush here from Nude by Nature to blend it out. And I just really like the shape of this one. Again, with deep set eyes, I just find that having that little tip on the brush really helps to get into the areas that most brushes struggle with. So there you can see the difference with the concealer applied. It just helps to really cancel out a lot of that darkness. I've never found a concealer that completely erases all signs of shadowing under my eyes, but this one comes close. And I really just like that it has a very natural finish on it. It's not, again, it's not mattifying under my eyes, and nor is it glowy. I always kind of shy away from concealers that claim to be either of those things because I don't want an unnatural looking finish under my eyes. I just find that either one of those is really going to draw attention unless you're wearing a matching foundation finish. If you're wearing a very matte foundation, a matte concealer makes sense, but I tend not to gravitate towards matte finished products to begin with, so having the natural finish on my concealer is right up my alley. All right, now that concealer is under both eyes, I'm going to go in with the Pat McGrath setting powder, which I have in the shade Yellow. And again, I'm just going to apply it to the one side just to see what kind of difference it makes. I did talk about this product in a very recent video, and I was saying I like the powder for what it does, but this shade, which is a new shade in this line, it's just a little bit too deep for me. So while the yellow is meant to cancel out the bluish sort of undertones in those dark circles and therefore give a bit of a brightening kind of appearance, I find that this one just looks just a little bit sallow on the skin. It's a little bit harder to pick it up with all of these like studio lights on, but I can notice it in the mirror and I can notice it outside, like in actual daylight. So I think that this one is going to be better for me in the summer once I have a bit more color on my skin. But for right now, I can see the yellowness of it, which, I mean, it is a yellow powder, so that makes sense, but it's just a little bit too strong for my complexion. With blush and bronzer and all that kind of thing, it does even out a bit, but you can see a little bit of the yellowing. I'm looking in the viewfinder. It's hard to see in the viewfinder, but in the mirror, I can definitely see the yellowing underneath here. But I do like the power of the powder, if that makes sense. Like, I do like that it locks the concealer down. It will still show some wear over the course of the day. I think pretty much any product will, but this one is very good for setting purposes. I regret the shade choice. I thought the yellow would be perfect, but I need a shade lighter than this one. Before I move on to setting my foundation down, which there is a tiny bit of tackiness to the skin. Now, it hasn't had an awful long time to dry down, but I also just like the experience of powdering my face, to be honest. Like, I don't know, it feels fancy somehow, and it's just become part of my routine. So whether I really need to do it or not, I still like spending the time on that step. So we will get to that momentarily, but first I want to apply a new cream blush. This one is from Hourglass. It's the Vanish Blush Stick. I think it just says Vanish on the end of it, but The stick blush from from Hourglass. They just came out with these. This one is in the shade Devoted, which is just a really pretty sort of rosy kind of pink. So I have my Rephr brush number 5 here. I'm just going to run that across the tip of the blush and then apply it to my skin. I could go in and just drag this blush across my cheek and then blend it from there, but I'm finding that doing it this way just gives me a lot more control over how intense the blush ends up being, and I can always add more if it becomes, like if it applies too subtly to begin with. There's just been a few cream blushes that I've tried recently where they go from 0 to 60 in like a nanosecond. So I'm just learning different application methods just to give myself as much control over the outcome as possible. But there you can see that this blush does blend out really nicely. I've got a bristle on my face. And it just produces like a really natural looking flush to the skin, which I really like. I will wear like brighter colored blushes. I will wear orange blushes, all of that kind of thing. But on an everyday basis, this is the kind of shade that I really gravitate towards, just keeping it a little bit more on the neutral, natural looking side. But I really do like this blush. I think that it blends out really nicely. It doesn't produce any like stickiness on the skin. It's easily blendable in that it doesn't dry down really quickly, and it does last all day. So I really have been enjoying this one. All right, to set the foundation in place, I'm going to use the Dior Backstage No Powder powder, and I have it in the shade 2N. And again, some of these products I have talked about in previous videos. This is one of them. It kind of falls in that meh category. Like, I don't dislike it, but nor do I think it's like some sort of revolutionary product that everybody needs in their collection. It's a setting powder and it sets the foundation, but like it doesn't do anything incredible. I don't necessarily regret buying it because I think it's a nice powder, but once I apply it, it's not like it blurs everything out or just adds that right amount of sheen or anything of that sort. Like it's just a setting powder. It's nothing to get too excited about. So if you're in the market for a setting powder, save some dollars and like just buy something other than this. I mean, buy this if you want to, but I don't think it's anything that's worth getting super excited about. We'll put it that way. I don't dislike it. If you're going to put money towards something, not necessarily this product. There it is. That's what I have to say about that. Okay, such as that is. So then I'm going to go in with bronzer, and I was really hoping that my new Patrick Ta bronzer would have arrived by now, but for some reason it doesn't think it's going to get here for like another week and a half, according to the tracking. I don't know why, because items that I've ordered after are being delivered today, but I'm not Canada Post and I don't get to make those rules. So we're going to go in with this one here from LYS Beauty. This is the No Limits Matte Bronzer, and I have it in the shade Motivate, which is the lightest option in their lineup. And for that, I'm going to use this brush here from Marc Jacobs. It is the Face Brush number 1, and just pick some of that up. And again, this is a product that I have talked about, and I do find that it blends out really nicely. It has a really nice undertone as well. I don't find that it pulls too orange, nor is it too cool toned. And I find that just adding this bronzer, or any bronzer really, but this bronzer in particular does help to balance out the yellowing that the Pat McGrath powder creates. For highlighter, I'm going to use this quad from Dior. This is the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette in, 002 Glitz. And I'm going to mix between these two shades here. And I'm going to apply it with this brush from Smashbox. This is the Insanely Small Print Precise Highlighting Brush. There we go. So I'm just going to dip back and forth between those two, and then place it along the cheekbones, on the nose, and a little tiny bit on the forehead. is a fairly new acquisition for me, and I haven't quite decided yet if I like it or not. I don't dislike it, but I don't think it's going to become a favorite. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, first of all, this deep shade down here, I don't know when or how I'm going to use that, to be perfectly honest. And I don't know. I don't love it. I'm very much on the fence about it. We'll put it that way. I don't really know what to say about it. I don't really know what it is that I'm not wild about. I'll continue to use it and I'll continue to play with it and play with the application of it, but I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I mean, it looks nice on the viewfinder, but just there's something up close about it. I think it's just the little tiny flecks of glitter in it. Like they're really, really small, but noticeable. I think that's what's setting me off from it. I'm not sure, but at any rate, I'll continue playing with it. But again, I don't actively dislike it, but it's not my favorite. All right, to finish out the face, we do have one more Dior product, and it's the setting spray. This is the Forever Perfect Fix Spray. And I will warn that this one does have a rather strong fragrance to it. It has a very nice mist. I cannot talk and do this or else it'll end up in my mouth. It has a very nice mist to it, but it definitely has a very strong floral scent. It's not enough that it like burns your eyes or anything, and it does dissipate very quickly, but I know that some people are very sensitive to scents. They get headaches very easily from it or what have you. This one might be one that you give a pass to if that is something that you suffer with, because it is rather strong. I like it for what it is. I paid $36 for this at Shoppers Drug Mart. Sephora, for the exact same size, charges $52. I have no idea why there's such a discrepancy in prices, but if you are in Canada and you want to try this, go to Shoppers Drug Mart. You can find it on their online beauty boutique. It's a wildly different price tag, and I don't really understand that at all. Let's move on to eyes. For my eyes today, I'm going to keep it really simple, and I'm just using these two products plus liner and mascara. This one here is a shadow stick from Vive in the shade Hazelnut. It's just a retractable eyeshadow stick. And then over here is from Victoria Beckham, and it is one of the lid lusters in the shade Blonde, which is just a really pretty, if I could get the lid off, a really pretty champagne kind of color. So what I have been doing a lot lately, because this is just so dang easy to work with, is I use this and then I buff it out with this brush here from Delium Tools. This is the 767 round blender. It's not a brush that I actually enjoy using with powder eyeshadows just because it is a bit on the larger side. It's quite densely packed, so I just don't find that I get a lot of precision with it, but it's perfect with a product like this because it's so densely packed. It can really blend the shadow stick out. So I don't even bother using eyeshadow primer because this acts like a primer. And I just draw it on the lid. And then because I have hooded eyes and if I close my eyes, half of my lid disappears, I do like to take it up a little bit above where the natural crease in my lid is, because this is the area that's actually visible when my eyes are open. So I just draw it on there, and this product, while it does dry down and locks into place, it doesn't do it so quickly that I can't apply it to both eyes first. Then I just go in and just buff that out. And it does take a little bit of blending, and then I will often have to go back in and just build up the edge a little bit, blend that out as well. But you can see just how easily it's blending. There's no real stubbornness to it. You can't see where those like individual strokes are like you can over here. It just blends out so nicely. And I really like this shade because it's deep enough that you can see I have something on my lids, but not so deep that it's just really dramatic. It just helps to define the lids a little bit. Makes me feel a little bit more put together, but it's done. Like, that's all I really need to do. I think in looking straight on at the mirror, this side, I do need a little bit more. You can see the shadow up here. You can't really see it over here as well. So this is where I just kind of finesse it a little bit, just to make it look as even as possible. Before I put the shadow stick away, I'm going to use it like a liner on my lower lash line as well. And then with this Victoria Beckham single eyeshadow, I'm going to pick up just a little bit on my baby finger and just kind of pat it lightly over the center of my lid, just to add a little bit of shine and to add a little can't speak, a little bit of dimension to the lid as well. Then I'm going to take a really small pencil brush. This one is from Refer and it's the number 3. Pick up a little bit of that shadow and put that in the inner corner as well. Then I'm going to go back with that Delium Tools brush and just blend the edges of where that lid luster shade meets the brown. For eyeliner, I have this ridiculously expensive one here from Tom Ford. This is the, what is it even called? The Eye Defining Pen, and it is dual-ended. So at one end you have a bit more of like a finer tip, and then on the other, it's just a tiny bit more stubby and a little bit less flexible than this end here. Frankly, I prefer the more flexible end, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm just going to line the upper lash line. I seriously considered doing a wing for this video, but honestly, I just don't feel like doing it. I just don't. And also, my daughter is home from school. Well, she's virtually learning right now. All the schools in Ontario are closed. It's super fun, awesome. And her lunch break is starting soon, so I kind of want to speed through this. And frankly, on a day-to-day basis, I'm not effing around with a winged liner. So it is what it is. I'm just going to line the upper lash just to have a bit more definition to my lash line. What I can say about this liner is, yes, it does have a very hefty price tag. It comes in at $76 Canadian, which is absurd, but here we are. It applies so nicely. Even with that slightly stubbier end, it does apply really nicely, and I do like that for building up a winged liner and filling it in. But the more flexible end, I just find like glides along the lash line so much easier. So that's the end that I prefer to use, especially for just doing a line like this. But you don't have to build it up. It is very intensely pigmented. You're not seeing little like bits of skin sticking through it. And it also creates a really smooth line. So I really do like the liner. I've heard that this lasts forever. We will see. I've only had it for a couple of weeks at this point, but I've been really impressed with it. I don't know that I can sit here and say you need a $76 liner in your life. You absolutely don't. But if you are curious about it, from my initial impressions over the last couple of weeks of using it, I really do like it, and I'm not disappointed that I purchased it. So there is that. Now, moving on to mascara, I'm going to use this one here from Merit. I don't know if it actually has a name. The Lengthening Mascara in the shade Perfect Black, which as far as I'm aware is the only color they have. They might have a brown, but I can't remember. It's a very straightforward, functional looking wand. It has actual bristles on it. There's nothing gimmicky or fussy about it. And overall, it is a nice mascara. It's just not my favorite. I don't find that it like leads to any clumping. It doesn't flake or anything of that sort. It doesn't smudge around on my eyes. But nor does it add a ton of volume, and the amount of lengthening for being called the lengthening mascara, it's fairly minimal, to be honest. All right, so now that the eyes are done, it's time to move on to the lips, and I have another product here from Hourglass. This is their new Velvet Story lip cream, and I have it in the shade Hint. So opening it up, it has a rather like elongated kind of doe foot. What is that smell? It's very, very faint. I think it's probably just the smell of the like ingredients themselves. It doesn't smell like it's trying to be anything, but there is a scent. It's just very, very subtle. So I'm not even going to bother lining my lips today. I'm just going to go straight in with this product. And there it is. So this one has a rather, it's sort of a hybrid between a liquid lipstick and like that more moussey texture. It's not quite to the same degree as like those moussey kind of liquid lipsticks are, but this is more like an actual melted down lipstick. And I find that while it does still have good longevity on the lips, it doesn't dry down completely matte in the same way that the traditional liquid lipsticks do. It's very comfortable on the lips. It's, I wouldn't say completely lightweight. Like when I rub my lips together, I can certainly feel it, but it feels more like I'm wearing a traditional bullet lipstick than what I normally think of when I think of liquid lipsticks. So I think that it's very comfortable. But in looking, oh, first of all, I forgot to do brows. Great, that's awesome. But in looking at this, I mean, this is perfectly fine. This is something that I would wear to the office all the time. But I might want to punch the lips up just a little bit. We'll see. Let's fix brows. Let's go in with Merit. This is their volumizing pomade in the shade Black Brown. Just a tinted brow gel. It's got a rather large wand to it, which frankly I'm not super in love with. I would like it a little bit smaller just for more precision, but it is nicely angled, so, or like tapered, I guess, so you can make it work. It's not impossible to work with. I was saying in a previous video that I like it because I do find that it does help to fill in the brows and just make them look a little bit more full, but it doesn't have a ton of hold. So I do find by the end of the day that my brows have gone rogue and they're just going wherever the hell they want to go, as per usual. But, you know, for like a work day, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just not my favorite brow gel that I've used. All right, just for the giggles, I've removed the lipstick and I'm going to go in with something a bit brighter, well, a lot brighter and punchier. It's also going to let me talk about 2 other products, so very self-serving. First of all is this product here from Makeup Forever. This is the Artist Color Pencil, and I have it in the shade 802, Fuchsia, etc. And what's cool about this is you can use it as an eyeliner, you can use it in your brows, you can use it as a lip liner as well. So it has a lot of functions, which I really like. And it does apply really nicely. I haven't tried it in my brows, but as a liner and a lip liner works equally well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just line my lips with this one first. Now, sometimes the hesitancy with these kind of pencil liners is that they can be very tuggy, like they're very difficult or almost painful to use. That's not the case here. It glides on really nicely and it's very easy to use. So I'm really liking that one. And then I'm gonna go in with this lipstick here from Cheekbone Beauty. This one is in the shade Hockey, I don't know, H-A-K-I. This is part of their Sustain lip line, and it's just this freaking beautiful pink lipstick, like a hold on to your butt kind of product right here. And it matches like perfectly with that lip pencil. I've been a longtime fan of Cheekbone Beauty's liquid lipstick formula, but trying out their bullet lipsticks is new for me. I've only had these for a few weeks at this point. I am so impressed with the formula. So the finish on it is sort of a demi-matte. There is a little bit of a sheen to it, but not to the degree of, say, a satin kind of finish. And the feeling of it is what sells me on this lipstick. It is so comfortable to wear. It's also incredibly long wearing without feathering or burning outside of the lip line. And I just find that I can get hours of wear with these lipsticks and it just remains comfortable. It doesn't get dry and flaky. It doesn't pill up on top of itself, which I find that some matte lipsticks do. In particular, the ABH matte bullet lipsticks. I find that those can get like almost little balls of product on top of your lips and it's very uncomfortable. That doesn't happen with this. They don't get crumbly, anything of that sort. And I just really, really like the formula. I also love the additional benefit of the fact that this is made with all recyclable products. And when you receive it, it also comes with instructions on how to recycle everything. So they're doing their part in terms of their packaging as well. And I'm very impressed with basically every product that I have tried from Cheekbone at this point. But this lipstick in particular, I want to get more shades of this formula. But with all of that done, those are the products that I wanted to test out and share with you, with the exception of one. It just caught my eye. It literally was just delivered as I was filming this video, and I did mention it in a previous video. This is the Aqua Allegoria perfume from Guerlain in the scent Coconut Fizz. I did mention this recently, saying that I fell in love, there's like a little sample back here, fell in love with the Mandarin one, but because I have the sample, I thought that I would buy the coconut one to try that one out. A little bit of regret, a little bit. I thought because this one smelled so strongly of mandarin that the coconut one would be very heavily coconut scented as well.
Hi. What does that smell like? I think it might smell like honey.
Well, it's supposed to smell like coconut, but it doesn't. Oh. What do you think it smells like?
It smells like garbage, actually.
Oh, great.
Sorry.
No, hey man, I didn't make it. I'm not offended. All right, take your garbage smelling perfume upstairs.
Don't edit that part out.
Okay. Well, so you heard Aspen say that it smells like garbage. I wouldn't go quite that far, but it sure as hell doesn't smell like coconut. I honestly, I cannot place my finger on what that scent is. It smells more like a musky kind of perfume, which is not my go-to. I don't know. I think I might end up returning this, to be honest. I'm very disappointed. I thought it was going to smell like coconut. It truly doesn't. At any rate, I thought that I would share my 2 cents on that, which is that I'm going to try to exchange it for the Mandarin one. That's what I'm going to do with that. All right, but there we have it. There are a ton of new products on my face and my thoughts on them. So I'm going to wrap this video up now. It's Aspen's lunch break, so I'm going to go have lunch with her, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.